I want to change it up a little here because in Barbados now is all about people struggling to survive. But we have addressed many different issues here, including the hospital. This is a priority to almost every patient. But it's something that hasn't been addressed tonight that I just came out here to put in the minds of all Barbadians, those who are in car parks, or those who can hear me. It's all about food in supermarkets. Whoa. This is a problem that I realize a lot of people are just bickering under their breath about, but it's a serious issue. The Prime Minister has powers to regulate prices in Barbados, but nobody's talking about that. We have one entity in Barbados, which I always tell my friends, I consider it monopolization. It happens in the light power, and people tend to forget about BSNT, who has not been acquired by McDonald's. It brings majority of the brands that we love to Barbados continuously. They also have supermarkets, which to me is a conflict of interest. I see America tested this. They had Microsoft, which was broken up because it was too much of big power, and it basically controlled the industry when it comes to technology in a sense with chips and all that. So they had to break it up into companies. We have Massey bringing foods to Barbados, then distributing it to the Populars and all the other supermarkets. There are people here who are much older than me who remember Bush by Rex, all of those supermarkets. Who got pushed out because of the prices that Massey was bringing these items to Barbados, distributing them to the other stores, but then they still have supermarkets. So this supermarkets was the interest. So therefore, they were not pricing it at a price that would be competitive. That they could have dropped their prices to accommodate Barbados in the store. So the prices remain at this consistent price. So if you want to do a markup, it would be like a 24 cent or 10 cents. Like any price would be outrageous to Barbados when you supermarket. Barbados need to tell Ms. Morley, come on, we are not stupid. BSNT, who is no Massey, needs something to be done. Nobody should be getting 800% markup on items. It is ridiculous. And until that is addressed, I'm tired of hearing Barbados and me walking the street saying, oh, they can't do nothing because it is expensive. That is a farce. That is part of it, but the markups are incredible. And you go behind the scenes and look at the markups. I have information, but it's outrageous to see that a businessman trying to make a big markup, marginal, and to the demise of us here in Barbados. People here are struggling in these supermarkets every day. Can't even come over one bite. My wife is Trinidad, and they ain't going to Trinidad. It's outrageous to see the amount of food that they come to the supermarket. People say, well, they do manufacturing, but the same mass operated down there, but they look a minority now because they have been pushed out because of their price gouging. It needs to stop. So that Barbadians will be a cut. And address these issues. That is one of the serious issues in Barbados. The hospital is one, I must say. But I see food in Barbados, you can't survive without eating. We need to do something about that. The parents who can't even send school the children with a proper lunch when they come. Teachers have to buy lunch in their pockets. It's outrageous. That is something you need people to look at in Barbados and take a serious step there. Look at that before prices in the supermarkets.
So,
thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention to you. First of all, we have got at 17.5%, which was opposed by the current administration when they were in opposition. When they came to office, they did nothing to reduce it. Not a single thing. Secondly, I personally, and I'm speaking personally, I've made contact with a Brazilian supplier, one of the largest Brazilian suppliers of food in the United States. I have approached every single supermarket in this country and presented them with the connection between the Brazilian company and the particular supermarkets in Barbados. Today, not a single one of them has reached out to the Brazilian company. Can I tell you who has reached out to them? My wife is St. Lucian. We just got back from St. Lucia. A young lady and her husband in St. Lucia have just opened up a new supermarket, reached out to the Brazilian company. They're tearing the Lamassi apart with prices because they're bringing it from the Brazilian company. But the Lamassi no longer control their supply. And so they're setting up right now the institution, and that's what we can make available here. But the people here don't want it. I'm telling you, I personally know it, I myself, I have my emails here, my phone from the Brazilian company. And I have approached the people here. As a matter of fact, one of the directors of Massey I spoke with just before his retirement because he was my boss when he was selling BMWs up the road at Avedon. And I spoke with him personally. He said, Fernando, I'll be in touch with you. He retired and never got back to me. So if they want to have reduced prices in this country, they can be had. And it is not necessarily always the case of the government or the Portuguese or the cost of the containers. Sometimes it is the will of the people who are marketing their foodstuffs over the supermarkets to look for something cheaper. We have found something cheaper. Nobody wants it.
In Barbados, we had we call it a public tirade on supermarket prices in Barbados from a then opposition leader who said that the high prices in the supermarket were a result of the NSRL.
Yes, yes.
And that removing the NSRL would considerably lower prices in the supermarket. NSRL was removed and the prices went up. Right? I heard a merchant standing on the floor of a supermarket, standing next to Dwight Sunderland, who was the Minister of Small Business at the time. And this merchant said the high prices in the supermarket had nothing to do with NSRL. But you know why they marched against the NSRL? Because they can't steal it or they can't get away from it. They will have to pay upfront to get the goods out of the port. They can't do it how they do the VAT. Hold on to the VAT, don't pay it, and then when the government come in, write off over $1 billion in VAT and income tax owed to the government of Barbados, which Casual explains is a criminal act. Right? They wrote that off, and still prices have not come down in Barbados. But if you recognize, a lot of the campaign financiers of the government are persons who are into the retail and the food. So therefore, they will not do anything to affect the profit margins of these big conglomerates who uses Barbados' foreign exchange to buy goods for the entire Caribbean. So Barbados is a distribution hub for a lot of supermarkets in the Caribbean because these big conglomerates use armament to buy goods to distribute to these other countries, putting a problem on our own foreign reserves. So you understand the conundrum here, and that is why the government is doing what it's doing and is refusing to tackle the issues because they maybe have 3 or 4 price compacts already with private sector to reduce prices and none of them come down. Remember the professor was on TV talking about chicken backs and Lord oil and chicken necks. Yeah, and we had fact 3 days, still nothing changed in Barbados. Oh, thank you.
Sir, I want to thank you for that question. The American Transatlantic talking about campaign contributions. A lot of that markup was in the campaigns.
Amen to that.
The government went illegal campaigns. I am telling you, I'm 64 years old, soon be 65 in a couple of days. I have never seen a free and fair election in my lifetime because the government, all of them, have broken every rule. And the rules deal with money. And they get the money from the merchants. They bound their bag full of money, nobody don't have them. And declare them. I remember one of Mr. Williams saying that he contributed to both political parties. And they wrote an article in there and said that can't be true. If that were true, it would be reflected in the returns to the electoral office. And I've never seen his name in any return. So it can't be true, you know why? Because they made illegal contributions to the parties. That is one. There is a piece of legislation called the Miscellaneous Controls Act that gives the government the power to regulate prices. Remember in 1976, one of the reasons why they brought down the Barrow administration was Bradford Debt controlling prices. Remember, when they say the price of something must be this price, and put it in the law.
Yes.
Remember that? The merchant stopped bringing them in. And the music will unlock the short supply. That helped bring down the barrel to the station because you don't get the food because the merchants refuse to bring them in.
Yes.
I worked at the price control division. And one of my, before the other people always tell me what the best, because wherever I went, I used to find things that can remember what the Zoom movie. So I learned a lot of stuff. And in the price control, and that piece of legislation, you can either have prices controlled by dollar price or by markup. I remember when it was there, TVs, fridges, stoves, you couldn't put a markup higher than 25% on them. So the government can still do that now. And the way they should do it, you don't have to produce your invoices to the price control division and let them see. So if you charge the price which was more than the 25% or whatever, you could have been charged and walked before the courts. And you can face hefty fines or even imprisonment. The government still has that power. So the government doesn't have to beg anybody to have a price compact. They were trying to trick you, make you feel that they were doing something for you. It is shenanigans. It is smoke and mirrors. Not the same mirror that Molly looks at because if she looks at the mirror, she wouldn't say that nonsense. Anyhow, so what they can do is to say the price of whatever, this book can't be more than 10% markup, 50% markup, 20% markup, whatever the case is. They're not doing that. So they're tricking you. They have the power. Even here during the pandemic, when they COVID thing, and they brought emergency regulations, those directives. The Prime Minister took upon herself the power to do almost anything about Barbados, up to and including the power to control prices in Barbados. That was the only power she did not use. She did not use that power, even though she had it on her own. She didn't have to go to the cabinet, she didn't have to go to anybody. She had that power. So she is tricking the people in this country, making them believe that she is operating their interests and making sport their head back and laughing at you. Price come back, my foot. You don't make price come back. And one of the reasons to why the prices are so high in Barbados, my wife told me don't say this again, so I'm not going to say it. Because they say it is supposed to give jobs to the merchants and their children. Because you have a lot of companies in Barbados whose children went to school, and because they know they're managers, they won't do anything at school. And at the end of these companies working, and they're managers, you know them. You go to the hardware store, you see nothing fellows walking out with best. That don't look like us. And then you ask them for the penny nail is actually what the nail. And they know that we're going to qualify a little and ask you, we start talking about, but these are managers that make money. I know of a company in Barbados that does distribution of food stuffs. The receptionist gets a company car. Only company, you have company receptionists about to get a company car. Because these jobs are supposed to make sure that they live in the lap of luxury. And government don't want to do anything about it because it don't want to affect them. But I'd rather affect you. That's the problem. They care about you on election time. That's the only time.